1460 WVOX.
Now, live from Whitney Media, 1460 WVOX, The Greenberg Report, with Greenberg Town Supervisor Paul Feiner. You can join in the conversation at 914-636-0110. Now on 1460 WVOX, here's Greenberg Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenberg Town Supervisor. I was thinking today, when you listen to the news, you hear all these negative things going around the world, and it's depressing. So today we're going to have an uplifting interview. My guest is Kim Kaczmarek, and she is launching a Sleepy coffee shop in Sleepy Hollow this fall. And what makes this very special and meaningful is that the coffee business is going to be run by kids with developmental disabilities. So my guest is Kim Kaczmarek, and I just want to welcome you to the program, and maybe you could tell us first a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. So I live in Tarrytown. I just retired as a special ed teacher last June. Was a teacher for 40 years. 35 of those years were at Sleepy Hollow High School, and I ran a program there for kids with developmental disabilities. And back in 2016, I had wanted to add a business to our program. And we had done a lot of fundraising over the years, but I wanted something more stable for our program and just to teach my students all the skills associated with a business. And that's kind of where we started. It was very small in the beginning. We used shopping bags and, loaded up our things to go to the administration building, and we're only really allowed to sell to the administrators at that time. And so that's kind of where we started.
Do you know of any other businesses like this anywhere in the country?
Yeah, there seems to be a growing, it's growing in the, around the country. I think the last time I looked, there were 22 businesses like this. There are a couple local that I visited, and they've kind of become my mentors. There's Coffee for Good in Greenwich, Connecticut, and also Ethan and the Bean in New Jersey. And so that's part of what I did in the beginning, is really just go around to as many coffee shops with the same mission as mine, and ended up becoming friends with the people that ran them, and they have been mentoring me through my journey to start this shop.
That is great. It hasn't opened yet, right?
No, we're shooting for September.
And do you have the lease and the location yet?
Yes, we're going to be located at 110 Beekman Avenue in Sleepy Hollow. We're in the process right now of getting all the approvals on applications and things like that, but the location is secured. And I'm sorry.
Is the landlord giving you a break on rent?
Yes, and the funny thing is, through this whole journey, whenever I would go to one person for something, that person would put me in touch with another person, and it's just kind of been that way throughout this whole journey of starting the shop. And so come to find out that the landlord owned a coffee shop in Briarcliff where I grew up many, many years ago. And so when he heard what my plan was, he was very supportive.
This is really so exciting. How many students are going to be, not students, how many young developmentally disabled employees are you going to have?
We want to start out small because we don't want to take on too much to start with, and we want to make sure that we're successful. So right now, we're probably looking at 12, and I'd say 80% of them are my former students from Sleepy Hollow.
And do they live like in group homes, or do they live with their parents?
All of them live with their families at this point.
That's great. And will they have any like ownership in, and be able to make profit, or is it all salary?
Well, they will be paid. And, since I've known most of these young people for so long, I've really tried to involve them in the decision making. So we have a Zoom that we do every Friday night. They all come on. They're very excited. And we talk about, just different things about the shop, and I run things by them. And so they've been a part of the whole process.
The families must love you. This is such a fantastic initiative. When I read about it in the River Journal, I was so excited about it. I said, I can't understand why it's not all over. It's economic development. It gives young people opportunities that they never had. You really should be so proud of yourself. We have to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm Paul Feiner with Kim Kaczmarek, and this is one of the more inspiring stories, and I'm just so grateful to you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
WVOX. Now back to the Greenberg Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenberg Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenberg Town Supervisor, and my guest is Kim Kaczmarek, and she's launching the original Sleepy Coffee shop in Sleepy Hollow this fall. And what makes this business unique is it's going to be run by kids with developmental disabilities. Could you tell me a little bit about what people could expect at the coffee shop? Is it going to be only coffee, or are there going to be other things that are going to be served?
Sure. So we are going to model ourselves after, the industry level coffee shops. So there's going to be a high standard, all different kinds of coffees, espresso, hot, cold drinks. We're also going to have a baking component because when I did run the business at the high school, the students baked every day, and our brownies were gone in 5 minutes from the student body. So I really wanted to have a baking component, and also that provides more jobs within the shop for the employees.
How many square feet is the building?
It's 1,500 square feet, and so it'll have a nice size area for customers, and then behind the scenes we'll have a baking room and all the other things that the shop requires. And it's in an old warehouse, so we're going to try to keep that industrial vibe going with the decor.
That is great. Setting up a business is always very difficult. Is
Yes.
this a lot of work?
Yeah, I started last August, really 100% moving forward with it. And I'm a teacher. I'm not a businesswoman, so it's been a lot of learning on the job. But it's something that I've thought about for quite a few years before I retired, and so it's really a labor of love. I really am enjoying it. I'm learning a lot. I'm meeting a lot of new people. And the response from the community has been really positive.
So is there a lot of fundraising that goes into something like this? And is it expensive to start a business?
Yeah, well, it may sound funny, but I kind of planned for it in my retirement plan. So some of the initial startup money is coming from me personally, but we've been doing fundraising, and we're going to continue to do that. We had Spread the Word for Inclusion Day in Sleepy Hollow, and really just for people to get to know us near where the shop's going to be. And then we did a fundraiser for World Down Syndrome Day, where we had the founders of John's Crazy Socks come, and that was a very successful fundraiser. We were supposed to have a concert tomorrow that unfortunately we're going to have to postpone until the summer or the fall. And then we are going to also be having a major fundraiser in the fall. We have a GoFundMe page. So we're just trying all kinds of different things, ways to raise funds.
And this business is going to be a not-for-profit?
Yes.
And so people who want to make donations, how do they go about doing so?
If you go to our website, sleepycoffee2too.org, there is the link for our GoFundMe page, and there's also a donation page.
You mentioned before that you meet with the students or with the potential business people on a weekly basis. What have they been doing to prepare for this?
Well, most of them had me as a teacher, so they know what I expect, and I have very high expectations for them. So they are all, once we start the application process, which will probably be the beginning of the summer, they all have to have a resume. They have to complete a job application. They're going to come in for interviews. And then we're going to have probably a week-long assessment days where we train them and we just train them on all the aspects of the business, and then they have to demonstrate that they can handle it.
Young people with developmentally disabilities, is it sort of a little tougher? Like if they get rejected or they don't get a job, do they take it much worse than, say, the typical person? And how do you deal with, with managing a business and having to possibly have some hurt feelings?
Well, that's all part of running a business and being an employee. So I'm very upfront with them. I've tried to teach them problem-solving skills, and to prepare them that, things are going to happen. Sometimes things are going to go right and sometimes things are going to go wrong, and really how to deal with that.
So in some ways, what you're really doing right now is you're coaching them and giving them the skills so they have a good chance of getting the job if they follow the direction.
Yes.
But if they don't follow, so you're hand-holding them. And in some ways, if they listen, if they show up to work, if they're smiling, if they have a good attitude, the odds are that they'll get the job.
Yeah, and also, we also understand that some of them may need additional support. So we're building that into the model of the business. So there will be job coaching for any of the employees that need that. One thing that I really like to do that I did at the high school is use peers as job coaches as well. Some of the stronger employees coach the other employees that need a little bit more support. And we also break things down. We kind of take a look at who our employees are going to be and present things, like in terms of training, present things to them in a way that they can succeed.
Right. In terms of the developmentally disabled population, many young people who I've worked with, they're upbeat, personable. Yes. They really appreciate being given a chance to work. And is that an experience that is accurate? An observation that's accurate?
Absolutely. The unemployment rate for people with disabilities is at about 80%. So it's very hard for them to find jobs, and also meaningful jobs. And so they are so excited. And, I ran a program at Sleepy Hollow, a work program, where I had most of them. So, they are very good employees.
Great. We have to take another break. This is not as long, and I'm Paul Feiner, Greenberg Town Supervisor. We'll be right back, and we're talking with Kim Kaczmarek, and she has a business. Do you have a website?
Yes, sleepycoffee2.org.
And is the 2 is the number?
No, it's TOO.
Okay, Sleepy Coffee, TOO. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenberg Town Supervisor.
1460 WVOX.
Now back to the Greenberg Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenberg Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenberg Town Supervisor, and today we have a very uplifting and positive story. If you love coffee, you're going to love Sleepy Coffee too. Where kindness is served one cup at a time by developmentally disabled employees, and it's the brainchild of Kim Kaczmarek, and she's been a teacher helping those with special needs, and now she's taking the young people to the next level, because I guess you're giving them a chance to have a great job and to feel that they're really making a difference in the world. And, you know, a lot of schools, they have programs for the disabled, but then when they graduate, they have nothing. Was that one of the reasons why you decided to form this?
Yes. I was seeing that when my students graduated, and most of my students stayed with me till they were 21. And we did a lot of job training within the program, but once they got out there, there really wasn't much for them. And so, I live in the community, so I still see them. And, was really getting a sense that there wasn't a lot out there for them, and that they were at home. And, also the pandemic really, they took a hit during that and made them feel even more isolated. So I've been thinking about this for a while, and I just felt like, what's a natural progression would be to take what we started at the school, our coffee business, and bring it into the community.
Great. And, I was mentioning during the break that I had Rochelle Stolzenberg on this program a couple months ago, and we're trying to persuade some assisted living facilities to hire the developmentally disabled, because they're usually fantastic workers. They're upbeat, they're personable, they appreciate opportunities. The typical employee, if it's a 9-to-5 job, at 5:01, they're out.
Right.
For developmentally disabled, they'll be everybody's best friend. Is that like an accurate stereotype?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just because you have a disability doesn't mean you want the same things as everybody else. And in working with them for so many years, they want what everybody else wants. They want a meaningful job where they feel valued and appreciated. And I know from my experience with them that if they're given the right training and the right supports, they will be the best employee an employer could ever wish for. And, my hope is that this will not just be like a novelty, that businesses will start to realize that, it's a good thing. There's a whole other workforce out there that's untapped. And
what's the typical hours going to be for an employee?
So they are all going to be part-time workers. We are going to do probably 3 shifts a day, 2 or 3 hours per shift. And then they'll probably work 3 days a week.
Would some of them be able to be full-time? I'm talking about, would they have the ability, or is it better when you're hiring somebody who's developmentally disabled to give them shorter hours?
I think it depends on the individual. I have some young people that are going to be working with me that could eventually work a full day. Others, that would be too much for them. So it really depends on the individual, and we're really trying to tailor it to each of them.
You mentioned that some of them are going to be working behind the scenes, cooking,
Yes.
baking. Could you tell us a little bit about the job responsibilities, that the range?
Sure. So, there will be individuals working the counter, so taking orders, fulfilling orders. using we're going to use a cashless system, a POS system, so that it'll be all done by computer. So that'll also be a responsibility. There'll be baking responsibilities. We're going to, we try to develop or create jobs also on an individual basis. So if somebody's not able to maybe work the counter, they could be a greeter or they could do something else in the shop. But they're all going to be responsible for cleaning, and there's certain jobs that everybody is responsible for.
How many coffees do you think you'll have to sell to make it profitable?
Oh, that's a tough question.
For like a day, do you have any business models?
I do. I can't think of that off the top of my head, but we're going to be between the coffees and the baked goods. We're also going to be selling merchandise. We're also going to be running what we call after hours programs, which will be more social recreation programs for individuals with special needs. So not only the employees, but we'll invite other young people to come in, and we'll have a movie night or a cooking night or a dance party or something like that.
And how the price is going to compare with, say, a Starbucks or other coffee shops?
Well, we researched that, and so our prices are they're in the running with other coffee shops, but I think you're going to get a lot for your money.
That is that is great. Have you thought of doing more than one coffee shop?
I've been approached on multiple times. People asking me about that. And right now, I just want to get the first one off the ground. But there's a big need out there, and I have had a lot of families contact me, inquiring about jobs for their young adult son or daughter. And right now I can't hire everybody, but that is something to consider. That when this is open and successful, to possibly branch out into other communities and. So we can offer more jobs. Yeah, a franchise.
Are there other types of businesses, say for developmentally disabled, that you think could work?
Well, before I decided definitely on the coffee shop idea, I had, like I said, I had visited a lot of different businesses, not just coffee shops. And there is a movie theater in Ridgefield, Connecticut. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, called the Prospector Theater. And I had taken my class there. So that was one thought I had, because there's a vacant movie theater in Sleepy Hollow. Another idea was to open a bed and breakfast.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, but again, that depends on zoning in the town. I there's other organizations like Spectrum, who they do merchandise. That's who I'm getting my merchandise from. They employ people with disabilities. They also have a laundry and a baking component to their business. So, there's lots of different ways to do it. And, I'm learning from other people. And so what I would like to do is kind of pay it forward and help other people start up if that's
Great.
what they want to do.
We have to take one final break, and my guest is Kim Kaczmarek, and we're talking about a new business that's going to be opening up soon in Sleepy Hollow. It's a coffee shop, and the employees are going to be those with developmental disabilities. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
Now, back to the Greenberg Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Good morning, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and my guest is Kim Kaczmarek, and she is organizing a group of developmentally disabled adults who are going to be setting up a coffee shop. And during the break, we learned that somebody had called. They want to know the name of the coffee shop and, again, where it's going to be located and when you're planning to open.
Okay, so the name of the coffee shop is Sleepy Coffee 2, TOO. It's going to be located at 110 Beekman Avenue in Sleepy Hollow. And our projected opening date is going to be early fall, probably September.
That is great. Were there any obstacles to opening up a business? Surprises that you didn't anticipate going from a teacher to running your own business is you really need to go to school for that.
Yeah. I feel like I should say yes, there were a lot, but to be honest, there really haven't been. It's like I said, it's been a learning curve, a learning experience for me, but every person that I have encountered has helped me find the next person that I needed to take me to the next level. And so it really makes me feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and that this is the right thing to be doing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Are you getting any foundation help? Because I would think that this is such a innovative, approach, and I'm wondering if any foundations are interested in helping support this.
I've been in touch with numerous foundations and have also been looking into grants. But what I've been finding is that I think once we're open, that will open up to us. I think there's kind of a hesitancy before a business is open to really, put money out there. But in other ways, I've had a lot of mentors. I've been using a lot of agencies that have retired business people, and they've been mentoring me. And like I said,
like RSVP
and SCORE and pro bono partnership and nonprofit Westchester. So I've been getting a lot of good advice and good help, and have been taking advantage of webinars and meetings, and really trying to educate myself.
So what are some of the recommendations that they have?
Well, they've just been kind of like taking me through each step. The first thing I did was to write my business plan, and also just get advice on how to file for to be a nonprofit, a 501(c)(3). And then from there, just every so often we'll meet. They'll kind of take a look at what I've done since the last meeting and give me pointers and advice, or point me in the direction of somebody that can help me, with the next thing I have to work on.
Are you taking applications, still accepting resumes? If somebody on the program has a son or a daughter who's developmentally disabled and would like to learn the business, will you consider them, or is it just the people who have been taking the training?
Right now on our website, there is an employment page. The applications are not up yet because we're not ready to start accepting them. Probably the beginning of the summer is when we'll do that. We'll put the application up there. But I encourage anyone to apply. I do have a group of former students, but I'm also looking for other applicants. And so I would encourage, anybody that's interested to apply, and everybody will get a fair shot.
That's great. The only thing I don't like about what you're doing, and I'll be negative, is I wish you were in Greenberg.
Well, maybe one day.
I'm like jealous. So because now it's hard when you're town supervisor of a town to say, go to Sleepy Hollow for the best coffee anywhere. In terms of the publicity, are you getting a lot of attention from the local media, and how are you going to spread the word when you're ready to open?
So we, even though we're not open, we've kind of have been taking advantage of this time to get the word out. And so the month of March, which was Disability Awareness Month, when I was a teacher at the high school, I coordinated a lot of events related to that. So I just decided that now that we're going into the community, to bring those events into our community to kind of publicize that we're coming, and also to enlighten people about people with disabilities and educate people. So we've been doing some events. We've had News 12 do a piece on us, and they want to come back and do another one when we're open. The local papers have done articles on us. Social media has really helped us to get the word out. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram now, and really just word of mouth.
Are the Facebook pages being run by you or by the students?
Right now, they're being run by me, but it's getting to a point where I'm going to need to start delegating. So I do have some former students that are very good at that type of thing. So I'll be starting to hand over some of those responsibilities.
I was sort of thinking just a few seconds ago that a lot of people don't appreciate the dedication of teachers, and you give the profession a really great name, because not only did you teach the developmentally disabled, but it's obvious that you really care about your former students. And I think that when you retired, it must have been a big loss to the school district. If I was the superintendent of schools, I would have tripled your salary just to make sure that you continue to stay there. But again, this is really, do you think you're sort of the exception rather than the rule, or are there many teachers who care as much as you do?
I think most teachers care. This has always been more than a job to me. I knew at a very early age this is what I wanted to do. I was about 12 years old when I decided I wanted to be a special ed teacher, and I've never really wavered from that. And also, my students, I coach Special Olympics, so I had students start with me in the middle school and come all the way through the high school with me till they were 21. So you really form a very strong bond, not only with your students, but the families of your students, and we become more like a family. So, they're right along for this journey with me. The parents have been phenomenal supports, and, I feel very blessed. I had a really great career as a teacher, and I didn't leave because I wasn't happy. I just felt like the time was right to do this next
journey.
Next journey, part of the journey.
That's right. We only have less than a minute left. Could you tell us again, name of the business, the address when you open, and how people could get in touch with you?
Sure. Our shop is called Sleepy Coffee 2, TOO, because it's the next version of Sleepy Coffee. It'll be at 110 Beekman Avenue in Sleepy Hollow. We're going to be opening hopefully in September. And our website is sleepycoffee2.org. And we also have our email address, sleepycoffee2@gmail.com.
Great. And the coffee is going to be delicious?
Oh, yes.
What recipes have you gotten?
Well, we have two roasting companies that are mentoring us, Java Love, which is in Suffern, and Double Barrel Roasters, which is in Yonkers.
That's great. Well, I'm so excited about this. I wish you good luck. And,
thank you.
When you're applying for grants or funding, I'm more than happy to write letters and help out and see if I could motivate somebody to help out also.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenberg Town Supervisor, and I'll speak to everybody next week.